Hi everyone, welcome to Fresh FausTalks, where we talk about more than just money because really, there's so much more to life than just money. Today, we're very happy to have Mr. Rapa Lopa. Say hi, Rapa!
Hello. Hi, Rose. Thank you for having me.
You know what we're going to talk about now is your book, To Love Another Day. This was actually launched late last year. Am I correct?
Yeah, November of last year. Yeah.
November. So, this is what happened. Di ba? I've been wanting to read this. Hindi ako nakakabili nung print. So, sabi ko, bilhin ko na nga dito sa Amazon. So, when I got it a few weeks ago, alam mo how fast I was able to read this? Hulaan mo lang.
Mabilis. Mabilis ka magbasa.
Dati ka pang hindi naman ako fast reader, actually. I'm not. Pero one day,
Talaga.
Para akong...
Oh, that's good.
I was so enthralled. I was so... You know, I've always admired naman Tita Cory, your Auntie Cory. Oh, by the way, can you just tell us how she is your real tita, your real Auntie Cory? Your mom.
Yeah, she's the younger sister of my mom.
When you were trying to come up with a surprise for a milestone birthday of hers, was that 75th birthday?
75th, yeah.
Oo. Eh, nabisto ng konti yung yung surprise mo. Bring us to that story.
Of course, for some reason, I don't know how she found out. Talagang malakas ang intelligence niyang ali na yan. So she found out, and suddenly I get this text nga while I was in a meeting with my team, with the team in the foundation, and the text said, please call me. So of course, syempre, anything, pagka nakita mo yung text na yon na please call me, you drop everything and call. So of course, syempre, yes, Auntie Cory, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? Ang sabi niya, ano itong nabalitaan kung may nagpapasulat ka doon letters for me. So sabi ko, oh my God, paano kaya nalaman? Of course, before I could even say anything, sinabi niya, Rapa, whatever it is, sabi, pwede ba tigil-tigilan mo na yung kalokohan na yan? So syempre, and you know, that hindi ako pinapagalitan yan or hindi pa ako napagalitan at up to that point, no, na tigil-tigilan mo na yan, ha? And you know, it was quite she's really sounded so upset about the idea. So sabi ko, yes, Auntie Cory. Ganun na lang talaga. So yes, Auntie Cory.
Yeah. So that was really her character, no? She really didn't want to bring attention to herself.
Yeah.
Talagang rapat tigil-tigilan mo na yung kalokohan na yan.
Kalokohan na yan.
So, isang burning question ko nga did they probably lack in that para bang, ang pahit naman kasi sabihing self-promotion, pero the way you would communicate to people na, oh, this is what really happened. Because really, the assassination of our hero, Ninoy Aquino, sa totoo lang, marami pa rin bumibili nung storyang Galman. Hello!
Yeah.
Diba? Isn't that so, hindi na nga sad, it's so pathetic, hindi ba?
Yeah, unfortunately, talagang, and especially there has really been a very strong push for historical revisionism. And I think there's yung nga, in fact, if you watch these two Netflix films on yung Great Hack and the Social Dilemma, you can see that there's a really very proactive effort to...
Social Dilemma? Nakinabahan ako, hindi ko nga natapos pa yan eh. Ito
disturbing, very disturbing. But you know, there's this real push to really revise history, and that's why I wouldn't even be surprised whether people will continue to believe that it was Galman, and of course it was not Marcos and the people around Marcos that caused that assassination, or that actually initiated that assassination. And talagang ang hirap. Of course, we can continue to tell people that that's not true. But we will be drowned, definitely. In fact, yung nga parang people were telling me when I was writing the book, sabi niya nga, some people were saying, alam mo, I mean, how many people can you really reach with that book? And in consequence, how much do you think people will really believe that what you've written there is the truth? Diba? Because nga this whole issue of the truth is really the noisiest thing in the world today, diba? The absence of truth or the challenge towards truth. And I need to tell the truth from where I stood, diba? And again, at some point, I guess it really does not matter how many, diba?
I like that you invited the reader to be in their shoes. And that's precisely what I did because I'm also a mom. So when I was reading it and I was imagining myself in her shoes, talagang mas naramdaman ko because as I mentioned earlier, I've always admired her part, her big role in our history, even for those who are not really very fond of her for some reason. She really had a very, very important role na kung hindi siguro niya ginawa, andun pa rin tayo sa dictatorship, no? So when I imagined myself to be in her shoes, ay grabe, lalong lumaki yung admiration ko. Kasi nanay ako eh. Para bang, alam mo yung feeling mo na, ito na lang, yung anak ko, yung pamilya ko na lang ang asikasuhin ko. But she was just thrust in that position na parang it was, di ba alam mo yung, when you're discerning the will of God na sinasabi, and I got this from a catechism from Father Johnny Go. Most of the time, nagkakamali yung mga tao para magsasabi daw nila, will of God, will of God. It's not just a matter of choosing between right and wrong. Diba yung iba daw sabihin, ay, makikipagrelasyon ba ako dito? Eh, meron na siyang asawa. Hindi yan, discerning the will of God. That's so obviously right and wrong. But discerning the will of God is really choosing between two right ones. Two right choices.
That's the more difficult part.
Diba? So yun talaga, in all her journeys, parang laging ganun. Parang it was always a discerning na talagang pasan ko ang daigdig ang drama.
Correct,
so grabe. Oh my God! Naano ko talaga ako. And then all the details, because she was really writing from her own experience. Yung mga when it was announced, by the way, just to refresh the memory, even if we always commemorate it as September 21, it was really announced on September 23, correct?
Yeah.
So parang sinabi na nag-retroactive na lang sila. Well, the memorandum was dated September 23.
Yeah.
And then right after that, hinuli na si Ninoy Aquino.
Yeah.
And she wasn't aware kung nasaan, di ba?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So para bang when I was imagining myself na ganyan, hindi mo alam kung nasaan. And then people would be calling you, oh, alam mo na ba kung ano nangyari kay Marvin? Parang ganon. Ano nangyari kay Marvin? So ang hirap-hirap. And then kung saan-saan siya dinala. And then yung alam mo yung may rehas. Gusto ko yun.
Yeah. The Laur. The one in Laur. Yeah,
Chris Aquino was very young nung sinabi
Yeah.
Ay, si Daddy nakakulong sa cage, parang animal sa zoo. Hindi pwedeng kiss, wave lang. Di ba?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So now I understand Chris Aquino. Oh my God. She went through at age, she was only 1.5 years old, right?
Yeah. Very young at that time. Very young talaga. Oh. Yeah. Because that's exactly how I hope most of the readers will, find yourself in similar situations in our lives, diba? So it's not so much even the legacy of like when we asked her, how do you think Uncle Ninoy should be remembered? And of course, ang nasa isip namin nga, di ba, yung the hero, the champion of democracy, the one who restored freedom. Sa kanya parang sinabi lang niya, if there's really anything that I want people to remember your Uncle Ninoy, it's really that, yung fidelity to is the fidelity to the call. Fidelity to what he discerned was God's will or what God wanted him. And parang that was at the back of my mind when I was putting the book together. No, parang sabi ko, I think it's very important to just show how these two people, di ba, were just so clear about the call to love, di ba? Kaya the book is about,
it's a love story, by the way.
It's a love story, di ba? That it's a love story that really began with the two of them, and how in both instances they were really just giving of towards each other, and of course giving towards their children, and eventually the love story with the country. And that's how I saw these two people. No, I mean, they were not perfect people. They were not perfect individuals, and they had their moments of selfishness, di ba? Or they had their moments na pwede kami naman, di ba? And she tells that in the story. She tells that in her, like, even when they were deciding about coming, when Ninoy was deciding whether should I go home to Manila from Boston. I mean, di ba, parang sinasabi, pwede ba kami naman? Pwede ba tayo na? Ang dami mo na sakripisyo. Pero di ba? Pero hindi eh. Hindi yun yung tawag eh, di ba?
Nakakatakot ang calling, ano?
Katakot. Ako talaga, kakatakot yan. Nakakatakot umuo. Kasi pag umuo ka, talagang iba yung ano.
Pero nakakatakot matawag pa lang. Kasi if you don't say yes, and I think this is what they also experience, you get disturbed, di ba?
Exactly. And a lot, the first question that even I struggle with constantly is if I'm willing to be disturbed. Diba?
Exactly.
Minsan ayaw mo na, di ba? Pwede ba wrong number? Ayaw kong
pwede ba magbingi-bingihan, di ba?
Di ba? Kaya yun nga. So parang just to show how these two people went through that. Ayan, that whole human encounter of knowing that there is a call, but deciding first to be disturbed by that call and consequently responding to the call, di ba? That's their legacy, and the legacy is very human and therefore very real to all of us. And therefore, it's not, as I said again, it's not even their heroism, it's that, and lalo lang umiigting like just the other day I watched the film yung Fatima, di ba? And si Auntie Cora is very close to sis.
Di ba yung mga May 13 niya, Fatima ba yun? Yung
she had an opportunity to actually meet Sister Lucia, and actually Sister Lucia gave her a rosary.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah, that's why then you look at the lives of these people. No? When these people who are called to something, uniquely called, di ba? Again, they can choose not to follow the call, di ba? And di ba? You can see the crisis in their family when that was happening in that film. In case you haven't watched it, na spoiler na kita. Pero ganun yun sa kanila, di ba? Na yung pamilya nila na I have to choose country over family. Hirap, di ba? At saka 7 taon na akong kinulong, babalik pa ba ako? Di ba? There were those choices. And even after the assassination, di ba? After the assassination, namatay na yung asawa ko, pwede ba stop na?
Oo, di ba she was just thinking, I'm gonna bury my husband. And then magpapahinga na ako. And then
diba?
things happened.
And then it happened again.
Natawa ako dun sa, she had to give 2 conditions. Well, one was the snap elections and the other is the 1 million signatures.
Correct.
And then biglang
nangyayari.
I remember this. Ilang taon na tayo ng Rapa? Basta yung
third year tayo.
Yung snap election pa lang. Yung sabi,
fourth year.
Di ba? Para siyang alam mo yun na bait siya this was the foreign press. Am I recalling it correctly? Tapos, so, Mr. President, are you willing to do a snap elections? Yes! Gumanon siya. Taran! Sabi nga nila, that was his fatal mistake. Yung kanyang condition 1. Condition 2 was the 1 million signatures. And then she would call her family and friends, please don't sign. And please tell others not to sign.
Yeah. Oo, talagang nanakot. Kung ako yung tinawagan nun, talagang hindi ako pipirma. Hindi, talagang ganon, di ba? And
yung mga nagiging presidente, I heard somebody say this before, nobody really successfully plans to be a president. So, those who already had that as their ambition, parang konti lang yung would eventually become. But those who really didn't have any inkling, nagiging presidente. And I would think that even in the case of Pinoy,
Yeah.
ganun yun no?
Correct. In fact, when Auntie Cory passed away, talagang wala namang plano. Wala namang kaplano-plano. And that was what? August, di ba? And filing of candidacy was October. So, nung namatay si Auntie Cory, suddenly people started floating the idea. And of course, anong tawag dito? We were ignoring it totally. Siyempre, parang ako personally, I felt at that time, tama na, di ba? Ayun nga, tama na pwede ba? Tama na dahil the family.
Another version of tama na, sobra na, iba naman.
Yeah, kasi the children have gone through, ayun na nga, gone through so many sufferings and sacrifices already. And parang pwede ba? Iba naman, di ba? But of course, you know, after the burial, and grabe talaga yung, again, another outpouring, the outpouring of people's love and concern towards the family. Of course, I was just putting my blinders hanggang libing lang yan. But suddenly, somebody did a survey behind our backs, or we didn't know that they were, you know, there's people were sort of trying to find clues whether there was that kind of. And bandang mga, I think sometime in September, mga September, doon na nagsimula yung usapan na baka nga that could be a consideration. And parang gano'n nga, everywhere Noy would go to support, for instance, to accompany Mar, people would like gravitate towards Noy than with Mar at that time. And parang, then nagkaroon ng ano, so maybe mag-meeting na lang to find out how should Noy wanted to find out how he can help Mar improve his ratings at that time, so that it makes a credible push towards the candidacy. And you know, in that particular meeting, in fairness to Mar, Mar was the one who said it. Who said, "Gusto mo ba to?" Or handa ka ba kung ikaw? And you know, it caught him by surprise because he was there to really just find out from Mar on how can I help you. And that's how it sort of went now. And then eventually they agreed among themselves that maybe he should try. And then it was Mar who said, I want to give way to Noy. And again, therefore there was no plan. There was no plan whatsoever.
What is the formula? What's in the Cory Aquino genes that makes them presidentiable without wanting to be at the start?
I guess the family was like that. In other words, yung talagang, I think the people sort of felt na these people sort of loved them unconditionally. Again, I mean, ayun na, di ba yung, kaya for me, the takeaway was they followed the call, di ba? That to love others as I have loved you, di ba? Na there was no assurance that if Ninoy went home, people will support him, di ba? And again, in fact, people were saying, bakit ka pa babalik, kinalimutan ka na ng Filipino? And even he himself asked that question in one of the LA speeches, di ba? Na minsan magtataka nga ako kung bakit ko pa ginagawa ito di ba? Dahil marami ring nagsasabi na nakalimutan na ako ng Filipino. But even without that assurance, he decided, I will go back. And there was no assurance that when I go back and if I get killed, people will, hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people will march to my funeral. Diba? There was no, parang walang nagsabi sa kanino, alam mo, pag umuwi ka at nabaril ka, maraming magmamarcha para sa'yo. Walang gano'n diba? So therefore, it's
yung ano niya, yung video niya na yon, kahit paulit-ulit mong panoorin, yung parang yung pag gano'n niya dun sa shoulder bag niya, yung kabado niya, nakita mo talaga na
alam niya na, you can, So parang, I think it's that. And you know, for Noy, he has his own, he's probably not as vocal as his mom and his dad in the way they talk about their relationship with their God. But he has a very unique relationship with his God.
How is he, Noy? How is he? I miss him.
He's okay. He's lying low.
I myself to miss him. What's he doing now?
Well, he's doing a lot of reading. Of course, he's following what's happening. But ganon, he's decided
To be
for
quiet.
now, take a back step. Ako, my sensing lang then is, I think there may be some discernment that's happening. Again, I'm guessing, Rose, I'm not sure where he's really coming from. He's also probably really trying to understand what's happening. I don't know if you saw that article that came out. I'll send it to you. There's an article, or there's a book supposedly coming out. Yes, came out yesterday by a guy by the name of Michael Sandel. Okay. And he talks about this whole the title of the book is The Tyranny of Merit. Okay. And it's very interesting, and it's a very parang talagang thought-provoking thought. In essence, sinasabi niya, it's the hubris of merit that's actually dividing this world. Na parang
ganang thought na yan,
Grabe talaga. And when you come to think of it, true, there's a lot of truth to it, because to a certain extent, when you talk about the theory of merit, you begin with the assumption that when all things are equal, di ba? Things you succeed based on your merit, di ba? Yes. When all things are equal, di ba? And therefore you deserve the upward mobility situation that you find yourself in, because you really work for it. All things being equal. Unfortunately, this world has created so much inequality, di ba? So sa simulat sa pool pa lang, lugi na yung iba di ba?
So yung mga to a point. Because when I was reading it, because really your family is the privileged society, di ba? Could that also be a reason why parang yung mga tao, they probably would just discount the sacrifices that were made by this family? Because, mayaman naman kayo kami nga ilang beses lang kami kumain kung nakakakain pa kami sa isang araw. Could that also be a part? That could be a factor na parang ilagay mo na lang lahat sila sa dilawan. Mga privileged na akala sila lang ang magaling.
That's why I think there must be some thinking that's happening now in answer to your question of where Noy is coming from, diba? Or especially, and for me talagang it's really a self-examination. Talagang while they have done so well in the governance, while Noy has done so much during the time that he was president, talagang he inherited, decades of misgovernance, diba? And consequently, decades of a situation that actually created this inequality, diba? And because of, that's why I also want you to watch Social Dilemma at saka yung because now social media as a tool has created this weapon that actually pound that message na lahat yung mga nakakaangat sa buhay, walang pakialam sa inyo yan.
Yeah.
At in other words, ang pakialam niya na yung sarili nila, maaring gagawin sila pakunti-kunti dyan, pero pakunti-kunti nga. Kaya, di ba? Kaya kung ayan ang patuloy ninyong iboboto at ilalagay sa posisyon, walang mangyayari. So that's the message that even in the US, di ba?
It's so easy to sell that message.
Yeah, and they have the weapon to actually perpetuate that message.
Yes.
They're using the weapon to perpetuate that message.
I'd like to point this out, na it should be realized that you need somebody with power and wealth, some form of wealth, to be in the opposition. Kasi kung yung may power at wealth nga kaya nilang ganyanin, di ba? Yung ginawa kay Ninoy na basta na lang siya nawala, kung ano-ano na lang ginawa sa kanya, taken out lahat ng privileges niya. Senador yun, So sana maisip din ng tao, kung kaya nilang gawin yan sa isang tao na may power at may wealth, dahil lang in opposition siya doon sa incumbent, the one who is in power. It's really a problem. Di ba?
Yeah, and you know, it's sort of happening these days, di ba? I mean, you
Yes.
know, senators being imprisoned again with
Oo.
drop-up charges. I mean,
Kawawa
poor
naman yung
Laila, di ba?
Pilipino.
And you know, they can do that. They're doing it. They're doing it. And in other words, whether kahit na nasa demokrasya tayo, technically, our democratic institutions have really been compromised. And by default, we probably are authoritarian at this point in time, di ba?
Yes, we are. I think we are. May question ako. Kasi this is very timely because it's the 48th anniversary of the declaration of martial law.
Yeah.
Kumusta na ba tayo? Para bang...
We're back.
Ganda na sagot mo na yun, ah. Alam mo yung, if you look at Germany, di ba, Nazi, si Hitler, but there was like a national acknowledgement that was evil. But look where we are. We're embracing. Bakit tayo ganon? Have you thought or studied that? What is wrong?
Well, yeah, it's really puzzling. No, for instance, you talk about the outrage of the Holocaust and the many lives that have been lost because of that. Then you look at the many lives that have been lost because of this drug war. But the question is, it's still really running in the thousands, and it continues to happen as we speak, diba? My question is, where is the outrage? Because when you talk to people on the ground, diba? And even the surveys are saying that people agree with the drug war. They approve of the drug war. So I ask myself,
why?
Why? How? In fact, diba, when we see the stories of it's really the smaller people that are being killed and not the big drug lords. Still, it's the smaller people that are saying, or the class D that are saying they approve of the drug war. And alam mo, lumalabas that in their communities where they are, there has been a marked change. They felt a very real change in the fact that the thugs are not anymore in their places, because the thugs are either dead or are hiding or have left their place. So suddenly it is safer to walk. And until their life becomes real to you, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na di ba? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, alam ko yung pinagdadaanan mo Dahil hindi natin alam yung pinagdadaanan nila kasi hindi naman natin nararanasan yung pinagdadaanan nila.
Sabi nga, we're not in the same boats, we are just in the same storm.
Correct.
Kanya-kanya.
Again, bringing the whole theological thing behind this thing. Kaya bumaba ang Diyos
Okay.
Para maramdaman niya kung ano yung nararamdaman ng tao di ba? Para pwede na, pag sinabi natin, Diyos ka, hindi mo naman naramdaman, oy, teka, bumaba ako, di ba? Lahat ng sakit na nararamdaman nyo, pinakiramdaman ko.
So what do you know? From one widow to another widow ka na naman.
Ayun na nga, sabi ko, ayun yata yung karma ko Puro mga biyuda. Puro mga biyuda yung aking...
Ikaw ang verdugo ng mga biyuda.
Talaga. Anyway naman, yung kay Larry naman, kay VP naman, again, it's something, again, I only met her because I knew Jesse. I worked with Jesse during Noy's campaign. But I never knew the VP personally.
Okay.
So I only met her personally when Bam asked me, can I help in the campaign? Or at that time to help her decide whether she was going to run or not. Because she wasn't decided when Bam introduced me to her. So
grabe, ganun din, no? Ganun din yung ayaw. Do you see a lot of similarities between your Auntie Cory and VP Len?
Yeah, now more than in the initial stages. Ngayon, mas very visible yung similarities. But again, she would even be the first one to say, don't even compare me. Ang layo ko. She would always say that. No, but more and more you can see that ganon, di ba? I mean, the same. She can choose not to, but she is choosing it.
And they are quietly strong. Parang yung strength nila is very calm, very
Yeah, correct.
hindi nararatel, hindi parang always
Correct.
yung anong tawag mo doon? Yung always graceful kahit na
Yeah. Yung
nag-isip.
composure, the composure, di ba? And in
Diba?
fact, ramdam mo na yung composure na yun when Jessie passed away. You could see how composed she was, how, di ba? And that time pa lang medyo nabibilib na ako eh.
Oo.
Kaya parang when Bam asked me to, yeah, game, sige, tulungan natin. And then ganun. And then when of course after she won, she called me, sabi ko, yes ma'am, sabi ka, can you help me? Sabi ko, yeah, sure ma'am, of course I will help you from PBSP. You know, I can mobilize the business community to. Sabi niya, no, I want to work, kung pwede, mas full-time. Sabi ko, full-time ma'am? Ano ibig sabihin ng full-time? That means, ayun nga,
what is your role in the OVP?
Senior advisor for anti-poverty programs, which is yung kanyang Angat Buhay campaign. So I sort of help shape that program. But I'm really advisor. I'm not on a day-to-day type of thing. No? But other than that, I'm also sort of helping her. Because ayun rin yung sabi niya sa akin, alam mo Rapa, probinsyana ako. Wala akong masyadong kilala dito sa Maynila. So it would help if, you know, it can bring people that you know are can help us, can advise, diba? So I also sort of help in helping her shape policy of what should be her position on certain things given what's happening. No? You know, in fact, when I gave her a copy of the book, sinabi ko, the next book I'm going to write is about another widow.
Yeah, what did she say?
Wala, natawa na lang.
Rapa, tigil-tigilan mo. Another one like
Exactly.
That. Diba?
Exactly.
Meron akong magandang question dito na tanong ng isang nakabasa rin. Her name's Danny, sabi niya. Mga questions para sa'yo, ha? Ano daw yung strongest and weakest traits of Tita Cory as a relative, as a president?
Strongest and weakest trait. I think she herself admitted that she really would be naive on certain things or would not be as knowledgeable about certain things. I think she was very clear naman from that, and therefore that was probably part of the weakness. And of course, you can see the first part of the administration where she appointed also so many different politicians who disappointed her in the process. Kasi ganun, she had to play that political game. Yes. But you can see towards the end of her term, that's when she started bringing in the right people.
I like what she said, yung para bang it's better to be underestimated.
Correct. Yeah.
Diba? Parang because they were thinking, ay, pwede natin to,
Correct.
And tapos there's a part there when Doy Laurel was giving his conditions.
Yeah.
Basta dun sa iba, pero yung lahat ng appointees niya, including janitor, has to be approved by Doy. Sabi niyo.
No way. Siniswerte ka, di ba? Kaya, probably that was just the weakness, no? Yung talagang, I guess, she was never a politician, never aspired to be a politician. Learned their politics through her life with Ninoy, di ba? Had to play with that politics while she was president. And therefore, ayun nga, it's a weakness because you need to play politics in government, di ba? But her strength is that. I mean, her strength is really her clarity of purpose, her clarity of what needs to be done. She was very clear that she will not be able to solve all the problems, but it was clear she was going to be transition from dictatorship to democracy. That's why priority yung let's get the constitution back, di ba? Priority, let's get elections back. Diba?
And what she daw as an aunt and a boss?
Iba naman yun, syempre. Yung iba it's not like a boss that she was bossing me around. No, she in fact is a very empowering person. She would always ask for my opinion, ask for my ideas. And parang yung relationship nga ganun, it's a very casual, very mother-like relationship. Kaya parang it was never parang boss type eh.
Yeah.
So, of course, initially parang syempre, 'di ba, icon of democracy. I'm working for the icon of democracy. Meron pa ako initial starstruck moment when I was starting with her. But as
Really?
our
When she was your aunt na?
yeah,
Talaga?
yeah. Kasi talagang 'di ba, to be the former president, I mean I mean, again, you know nga, I know kasi what she went through 'di ba?
But she was never strict ba with Chris?
I think I think she was to a certain way, but ganun nga I think naging very
Protective.
extra protective siya with Chris.
Nakakatawa yung sa book mo, yung kinagat si Chris ng aso.
Oh.
It was the first time I learned na aso nila pala. Tapos ang pangalan, Ferdy and Meldy.
Ferdy and Meldy. Yeah. Grabe, di ba? Siyempre mo yung katatapos lang ng hunger strike, sabay gaganon. Parang, ano ba?
Okay, next question. Ito nakakatawa. If she were alive as president today, how do you think would she deal with the pandemic?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Intrigue.
What a question. Tough yan. No, but I think she being a woman, and I think kayong mga babae, mas she will be a very nurturing leader.
Okay.
And but very firm.
Mm-mm.
Because very firm talaga yan. And I think like most women leaders, even Lenny for that matter, you can see they're very firm but very compassionate, very nurturing, di ba? I think but at this point nakita ng mga lalaki yan. If you remember in the book, yung sa convener when they were deciding who will be fielded, di ba? Tapos sinabi niya, kung kayong magagaling, kayo na lang, di ba? And then of course, she cried saying that, but of course, she got upset that she cried in front of the men, di ba?
She wanted to attend that,
the Unido, But you can see how the men folded up, di ba?
Yes.
Bigay sila, di ba? So you can see that she can really be very firm, and she can really, once she says, this is it, sunod kayo, di ba? But she's that. She's a very nurturing mother, and therefore, I think the compassion that's needed now is going to be there. But the firmness that needs to happen insofar as making the hard decisions, I think she will be also making the very tough decisions. No? And I think she will be, having learned what the governance during that time, I think she will be more she'll be able, she'll really be tapping more the expertise of people and allowing for more unity inside the government to actually have a common push.
Oh, ito ba? Given efforts on revisionism, what can and what should we do to stop it?
Watch Social Dilemma. No. I mean, putting that, because I think people need to understand that the revisionism is more viable now because of technology, and therefore, if we are to counter that, we also need to understand the so-called weapon of technology that's being used. In fact, if you would read up on a lot of the things that Maria Ressa has been talking about, and that's why you watch Social Dilemma, you will know how the tools of Facebook, Twitter, Google, all of these things are now being used to precisely micro-target people so that you build a constituency around a specific truth that you want to perpetuate, or a specific thinking that you want to perpetuate. And that's what happened in 2016, that's what happened in 2019, and that's what's happening up to now. Therefore, if you really want, if the real answer to that is, we need to understand the technology, how it's being used, because message is one thing, but the platform is another. And if you even if you have the best message,
yes,
but don't have the platform, medyo agrabyado ka na.
So paano, Rapa, for ordinary citizens? May naisip mo?
Well, that's a question I also trying to answer myself. I think there are people, you might want to talk to people like Maria Ressa. I think they sort of have given this more thought. marami. I'll send you some of the articles that have been written about it. But I think we as citizens, of course, as much as we can, we should be pushing for what is the truth, diba? Or what we think is the truth. But we have to be mindful that we are part of this much larger system that's already present, which is not present during that time. The internet and this whole social media phenomenon is something that was not present during the time of Auntie Cory and Uncle Ninoy and the Marcoses, or even during EDSA.
Kung ano sinabi niya is so our generation, syempre, at saka yung mga mas matanda sa atin na mas active sila na makibakan ng araw, dwindling na yan eh. So,
wala na.
do you
patapos
pass
na.
it on now no?
Yeah, well, there's a different, and I think more than the history of martial law and the time of my aunt, what becomes really very critical is how things happen now, diba? Because ayun nga, generations yan generations of yan. And now they're experiencing their own version of martial law. This generation is experiencing their own version of populism and authoritarian way of run. But again, I will be quick to say that, intindihin natin, makinig tayo sa tao. Dahil kung hindi nga natin pinakikinggan kung ano saan ba nanggagaling ang tao, we will lose We will lose. And ayun nga, that's why I feel that the book on the tyranny of merit is a very timely, thought-provoking idea that I think seriously, in fact, I shared it to many business friends. That we have to even start thinking about how do we reinvent business? How do we reinvent the way we do business? So that we also address inequality, because until you address inequality,
yes.
Wala.
That's the biggest problem, no? Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
And absolutely. I read this book, The Nordic Way of Everything. Ang ganda, parang nakakaingit yung Nordic way. Nordic countries. Kasi
yeah.
Yung education, yung health.
Yeah.
Education
medyo
and health,
pantay eh. Wala, and ngayon lang talaga. I mean, unfortunately, I think we will not live the time that we will see more equality in this country. But the thing is, diba, for me, in fact, I'm working with a lot of young people these days, because sabi ko sa kanila, start pushing these ideas, pushing this, and be active in it. Because I don't see, sabi ko, patapos na kami. And I think even as we plant the ideas now with you guys, we have to allow for the young people to really, and they're getting younger. Our leaders are getting younger. And I think it's very important to really nurture young leaders that we are seeing who has huge potential, because they have to address inequality. Because when they lead, when their time comes, it is going to be more difficult if they are unable to, arrest the inequality that continues to widen.
Galing. So, Rap, naubos ko na yung araw mo, no? I just want to say na I really admire what you're doing, na you are choosing the more difficult path. You are a kuhuang kolopa. Parang I wonder that meron ka rin siguro talagang calling that you are really taking this path, and it's so much easier kasi to just go to that comfortable and be nice, donate once in a while. But here you are, you really are giving ito na yung productive life, years mo, nandyan na talaga, no? So, ang question ko sa'yo, given all these things that are happening right now, is the Filipino still worth dying for?
Well, the Filipino is worth loving more, diba? I think that for me that's
love that. Pakiulit mo, ang ganda.
Kasi that's why that was in my epilogue, diba? Parang when you begin to for me that's why talagang just seeing their lives, diba? Again, I had the privilege of the front seat, diba? Of seeing how a person is able to love her country in a way that nobody, I think, else has loved. Diba? I mean, if you talk of a Rizal who loved his country, yes. I think I was in the front seat of seeing how Cory Aquino loved her country. And if I ignore that, if I put that aside as that's just one part of my life, and not really see why was I given that privilege, and what is the reason why I was given that privilege, then, di ba, I ignored the disturbance. I ignored the call, di ba? Bakit of all people ako ang nabigyan ng front seat? Di ba? And therefore, kung sasabihin ko, sa tabi ko yan, di ba, parang pinagbigyan ka ng Diyos di ba? Pinigyan ka ng pagkakataong makita ko ano ang tama at kung anong dapat pinaglalaban. Bakit hindi mo gawin, di ba? Again, and I'm not saying that Rose, I think I'm still so far away from what is expected. I mean, you're probably idealizing me in the because of what you just know of me. But I have my own questions still of whether am I doing enough? Should I be doing more? I don't feel sometimes I have those moments na putya kulang pa because when you see other people that are doing so much more, again, now I see a Lenny Robredo. I mean, she's even a year younger than us. She has 3 kids like I do, more or less the same age. I worry about my kids, but I am more comfortable financially compared to Lenny Robredo.
Correct.
But still, she continues to. So again, I ask my question: why are you giving me this? Why are you giving me another widow that's showing so much love for this country, diba? And what will you do, diba? And therefore, again, the question is: will you allow yourself to be disturbed, diba? And when you're disturbed, will you allow yourself to say yes, diba? And when you say yes, up to what extent are you going to say yes? And that's going to be a constant question. I think I will have to ask myself until I die. And I think ayun lang.
Thank you very much, ha. Mabuhay ka. Sobra akong napabilib sa'yo.
Nako, sobra. Wag kang mabilib. Nako, sinabi ko sa'yo.
Yeah, and ano rin yan we should all realize this and remember na lahat ng kahit na sinong pinakamagagaling na leaders, Jose Rizal, meron din kanya-kanyang kalokohan sa...
Ay, nako.
Para hindi tayo masyadong, yun yung sinasabi mo, idealize. It's good to idealize someone just to make you also push yourself to the limit. But kailangan yung maganda yung invitation mo in your book that you be in that place. Yeah. So that you can feel that sometimes really it's very difficult to choose the greater good. But we just have to try and try. Sometimes we fail, but balik ka lang.
Yeah.
Uy, maraming salamat.
Salamat.
Thanks for joining this episode of Rose Fresh FausTalks. Tell me, how would you answer the question, is the Filipino still worth dying for? I'd love to hear it. Please write it down in the comment section below and share this video with your friends to start the conversation. See you next time. And it would be great if you could subscribe to this channel and hang out with me through my socials. Let's continue the conversation at fqmom.com.